So, Kobo has just announced two new e-readers, the Kobo Libre 2 and the Kobo Sage. With the Sage being widely seen as a replacement for the Kobo Forma, you might be wondering, should you upgrade to the Kobo Sage? To help you decide, I'll list off 5 points I've observed about the new Kobo Sage in comparison to my experience using the Kobo Forma. Number 1. Kobo Sage Hit. More computing power. The new Sage features a quad-core 1.8 GHz processor, which is a nice improvement on the Kobo Forma's 1 GHz processor. Although I haven't had hands-on time with the Kobo Sage, my early tests with the recent and larger Kobo Ellipsa, which features the same processor as the Sage, do show a nice bump in performance. This means that it's likely that the Sage may feature less instances of, this happening when you try to load a large PDF. You can zoom in more in this mode, so if you want you can. Might take a moment. Sometimes it actually breaks the device, so go back, go back, go back. Sometimes the device can actually just get so frozen nothing actually works. Zoom to your heart's content, and then it'll just suddenly work, and then you have no idea where you are. Come on, some people have a life to get to. Come on. I can't actually do anything when this happens. Insufficient processing power for what it's doing. I mean, look at this. The device can be very slow, sometimes like spectacularly badly slow. Number 2. Kobo Sage Miss. Weight increase. One of the key selling points of the Kobo Forma was the convenience of a large 8-inch e-ink screen on a device that weighed a very light 197 grams. And even with that great lightweight chassis, the landscape mode of viewing PDFs, which right now anyway I think remains the best way to view them on a Kobo, could still feel a little on the heavy side on the Forma after holding it for a while, at least for me. So hearing that the Kobo Sage will weigh in at a considerably heavier 240.8 grams could tilt the scale, so to speak, in the direction of a potentially less comfortable reading experience. I know this extra weight is probably the result of the new writing layer added to the screen and the addition of Bluetooth functionality, but it does seem like a fair amount of weight to add for the addition of a fairly minimal new feature set. Number 3. Kobo Sage Hit. Storage increase. The Kobo Sage boasts an increase in on-device storage to 32 gigabytes. This is good to see, as the base model Kobo Forma only had 8 gigabytes of storage, and Kobo would ask customers to pony up what, at least to me, felt like an unreasonable extra amount of money to buy a 32 gigabyte version. So while there are other e-readers out there striving for loftier storage heights, it's pleasing to see that this time around Kobo is opting for a more sensible amount of storage. Number 4. Kobo Sage Hit and a Miss. Note-taking functionality. If you've been watching my channel for a while now, you know that I've always been a fan of e-ink devices that allow users to interact with their documents. So in general, it's really encouraging to see Kobo taking some initiative in bringing note-taking and stylus support to their products. First with the recent Kobo Ellipsa, and now with the Kobo Sage. So because the Kobo Sage features support for the Kobo Stylus, and promises the ability to mark up your books and documents, that's obviously cool. So what about this could be amiss? Well, for one, Kobo's marketing seems to be keeping oddly quiet about whether the more advanced note-taking features of the Kobo Ellipsa will make it to the Kobo Sage. Features like allowing a user to write math equations and use gestures, and so forth. So for those keeping score, if the note-taking abilities on the Sage are more stripped down and the device is considerably heavier than the previous Kobo Forma, then I'm not sure Kobo did the best cost-benefit analysis here. Even if the note-taking experience on the Sage is identical to that on the Kobo Ellipsa, the other point is that, at least in my opinion, 8-inch screens are just too small for comfortably taking notes. Anyway, I don't mean to sound like a downer on this point, and I actually really am excited that Kobo decided to put a writing layer on a screen so small. I just hope it's worth the added weight that that writing layer brings. Number 5. Kobo Sage HIT Bluetooth functionality. It's exciting that Kobo is finally allowing customers to play Kobo audiobooks on the Sage either through using Bluetooth headphones or Bluetooth-enabled speakers. Given the popularity of the audiobook format in recent years, I think this was a smart decision and an overall win for customers. Also, while I don't think Kobo has at all hinted at this, including Bluetooth technology may allow them to enable more features going forward via software updates. For example, I would love to see Kobo implement the ability to send PDFs and other files to the Sage via wireless Bluetooth transfer, and preferably without an app. Please, no apps. Okay, so the last 2 points weren't so directly tied to the Forma, but that's because it doesn't have either note-taking or Bluetooth ability. So I'll tell you what, because you've stuck around for this whole video, I'll tell you a free 6th observation. Number 6. Kobo Sage HIT, the return of an adjustable color temperature front light. Sounds like a sequel, doesn't it? I think a lot of people, myself included, weren't too thrilled to discover that the Kobo Ellipsa only has one white color of front light. This seemed like a big step backwards, considering that the Forma had an adjustable color temperature front light that one could change from a cooler white to more of an orange and several variations in between. Very happily, the Kobo Sage also features this customizable multicolor front light ability, and it's so good to see it making a return. One other thing, and I stress that this is only a hypothetical musing on my part and is not based on anything Kobo has actually said about the Sage, but I'm hopeful that the Kobo Sage could actually improve on the Forma in one important aspect, at least where front light technology is concerned. You see, one of the biggest complaints I consistently heard about the Forma was that its front light used PWM, or pulse width modulation technology. So basically, this could cause the screen to look like it was constantly doing some kind of electronic refresh or creating a kind of a flickering effect. You can see this kind of screen flickering effect here with this footage filmed at 240 frames per second. Some people claim that this screen flickering can give them eye strain when reading for a long time. However, the good news is that with my early tests on the recent Kobo Ellipsa, I haven't detected much evidence of PWM screen flickering so far. So, if it's there, it's definitely more subtle. Could this mean that Kobo has resolved this potential issue on its newer e-readers? And does it mean that the Kobo Sage has improved or even eliminated the PWM flickering issues found on the Forma? Well, we likely won't know that until it's released, but I'm hopeful. So there you have it. Thanks for watching, and if you liked this video, how about giving it a digital like by pressing that thumbs up button and subscribing for more Inktelligent videos like this.